Why should you choose Nolf, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram in Fairmont City? Why wouldn't you choose them? At Nolf, their sales are speedy and include upfront and straightforward pricing. If it's service and parts you're after, they have skilled technicians who are factory trained while offering knowledgeable parts experts. Maybe you need Nolf's full service body shop offering top quality collision repair to all makes and models of cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs. Or do you want to cruise the highway in a clean, shiny vehicle thanks to Nolf's detailing service? No matter your needs, Nolf, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram in Fairmont City is there for you. Find out more at nolfchryslerdodge.com. Good late afternoon, early evening, however you look at it. This is Chris Rossetti, and this is a very special edition of Nolf Bites, the show that bites. As you can tell, not here at Nolf, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram in Fairmont City today. We're doing a little bit of a special District 9, District 10 playoff preview. So I brought in my colleague remotely from Warren, Pennsylvania, Brian Hagberg here, and we'll be back next week with Ronnie Geist and Andy Byers and myself, hopefully back at the dealership next week. But until then, a little bit of District 9, District 10 playoff preview. Welcome to your first appearance on Nolf Bites, Brian.
Oh, well, thanks for having me. I guess it's probably about time I get on this show for once, right?
Yeah. Too bad we don't have you down live in the studio at the car dealership, but we'll do what we got to do here, and we're going to talk a little bit of football playoff stuff this week, as we've got a lot of games across the two districts, and we'll start over in District 10 with the small class vacations, class single A and class double A. I think only 3 games between those two classes this week. We'll start with the single A game.
So just a 5-team bracket in single A for District 10. So only one game is being played this week. That's the 4-5 matchup between Cambridge Springs and Cochranton. They are kicking off 7 p.m. on Saturday night at Fort LaBeouf High School. And as with a lot of these playoff matchups, it's going to be a rematch from the regular season. I mean, these two teams just met a month ago on October 3rd. It was a 41-12 Cambridge Springs victory there over Cochranton. And, it's nice to see the Cardinals kind of back in the thick of things. They had a couple of down years there, but kind of back in the thick of things, get the 5th seed in 1A. But I think still Cambridge Springs probably going to overmatch them a little bit. I would expect the Blue Devils to move on here.
Yeah, and speaking of Blue Devils of Wilmington are the number 1 seed in that bracket. Is there anybody that can beat them?
Well, the fact that they're not the Blue Devils, they're the Greyhounds.
Oh yeah. I was thinking
Sharpsville.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's been that kind of week. It's been that kind of week, Brian.
Yeah, it was been that kind of season, I think. Wilmington is the top seed there. They're going to get the winner of this Cambridge Springs Cochranton matchup. Greenville's the 2, Reynolds the 3. I'm looking at this. Probably would expect to see a rematch in the finals between Wilmington and Greenville. They met at the first week of the season this year, and it was a pretty convincing Wilmington win at that point. Now, Greenville's rattled off 9 straight wins since then, but the Trojans did kind of the same thing last year when these two teams met at the start of the season. It was a Wilmington victory. Greenville rattled off a bunch of wins in a row and then got into the playoffs, and Wilmington kind of did what they did during the regular season too. And both of these teams returned almost everybody from the squads that they had a year ago. And I would think, my gut says right now today, if I'm picking a winner there, it's probably going to be the Greyhounds.
Yeah, and then the question becomes if they match up again with Port Allegheny. We'll get into that in a bit. If Port Allegheny is actually the favorite in District 9 single, if they meet up with Port Allegheny, can they flip the script? I mean, they were pretty close for a long portion of that game last year, but that'll be the big question, I think, as we move forward. Moving on to Double A, anybody come within 50 points of Farrell?
Well, that's kind of a loaded question. I mean, Mercyhurst Prep and Seneca, they're going to be, that's the 2-3 matchup. Obviously, Farrell gets Eisenhower in the 1-4. And again, those games are all going to be on Saturday. Farrell Eisenhower at Wilmington, and Mercyhurst Prep and Seneca at Veterans Stadium in Erie. The Lakers and Bobcats played pretty close when they met earlier this season. I think it was a 16-7 Mercyhurst Prep win. And, Eisenhower took the Lakers to overtime just a couple of weeks ago, came within an eyelash of pulling the upset there. But to your larger point, Farrell is absolutely rolling right now. I mean, they're coming off a massive win over Cathedral Prep, which they sent the Ramblers into the running clock for the first time. And I can't remember. I can't think of the last time that happened to a Cathedral Prep team, and they're missing the playoffs for the first time since the late 90s. Farrell's just, they're on a completely different level right now.
I mean,
whether it's going to be a 50 point blowout every week, that remains to be seen. But, again, as we sit here today going into this tournament, barring some kind of catastrophic injury or something like that, I just don't see any way that Farrell's not the team coming out of District 10.
I mean, the week before that, they took Reynolds and took him behind the woodshed, 74-0. And I mean, it's not a bad Reynolds team. This is a Reynolds team.
No, absolutely not.
Right down to the wire with Union AC Valley, the number 2 seed in District 9, single A this past week. And so that's why, I mean, kind of jokingly say, will anybody come within 50? But the real question is, can anybody come within 50? And is Farrell legitimate contender for a state title?
I think you have to say they're a legit state title contender right now. I mean, like you said, they took, just put the boots to Reynolds a couple of weeks ago, and then turned around and did the same thing to Cathedral Prep last week. I mean, that's nothing, absolutely nothing to sneeze at. When you look at this Farrell team, and especially when you look at their 2 losses this season were by a point to Hickory in the season opener, and lost to Ohio Power Steubenville earlier this month
in a game that they actually were winning at one point.
Yeah. And so, and everything else, I mean, you look at the scores, and it's not been close. I mean, Hickory scored 13 points on them, and Steubenville put up 40, but that's Steubenville's a power. Nobody else scored more than 7 points. So I don't know how you look at this Farrell team and don't think, hey, they've got a legit shot to make a very, very deep playoff run. And it's going to start either with District 8 or District 9 coming into the state tournament there. Obviously you never know what you're going to get out of those teams coming out of the WPIAL and stuff. But right now, Farrell's got to be one of the favorites.
Yeah. And, flipping over into District 9, their upper classifications, Class 5A, Mifflin County and Du Bois. It's a 3-2 matchup. It's at Du Bois High School on Friday night. I'll be completely honest, just looking through Mifflin County, they don't really play any like teams here. Mifflin County is 6-4 on the season. Du Bois is 6-4. I'll say this: the Beavers aren't playing very well right now. Lost to Central Clarion 2 weeks ago, where they couldn't get their offense rolling. Last week got shut out by a really, really good undefeated Hollidaysburg team, but not the way you want to enter the playoffs if you're Du Bois.
No, absolutely. I mean, obviously nobody wants to enter the playoffs coming off a loss, but like you said, it's not just coming off a loss to a really good team in Hollidaysburg, but like you said, the week before, struggling on offense to get going against Central Clarion. I mean, those are some things that, if you're Du Bois right now, probably a little bit concerning as you enter this postseason tournament.
Yeah, and I think Hollidaysburg, obviously the overwhelming favorite in that classification, in that sub-regional. That's a weird sub-regional. It's got a bunch of districts in it. I think it's 6, 8, and 9 are in that one. And speaking of District 8, a lot of that ends up popping up. Should be a really good football game in Brookville on Friday night when USO, which is a University Prep Sci-Tech Obama Academy co-op out of the City League, takes on Clearfield. USO 7-2 on the year, a pair of wins over Westinghouse, including 26-0 in the City League championship game last week. They have a 63-7 win and a 30-7 win over Brashear. They lost their games of the season. They lost and they lost to Hickory.
Mhm.
Lost. They've won 7 in a row. It's all been within the City League. Clearfield, until last week, Clearfield didn't have what I'd call a signature win. Their opponents all had losing records or 500 records. But last week they went up against an 8-1 Penn Cambria team, came away with a come from behind overtime win. It was the second overtime win of the year for Clearfield, actually. This team is a good Clearfield team. I wouldn't call it the best Clearfield teams we've seen, but that really has me wondering what that matchup ends up looking like at the end of the day. But I think it should be a good football game.
Yeah. Well, you talk about, kind of almost the polar opposite there of DuBois with the way Clearfield's coming into this tournament, coming off, like you said, a big win over Penn Cambria. And, that's kind of the problem. We're going to run into that a lot with teams in both of these districts, in District 10 and District 9, is how much of a read can you really get on them off of their regular season with the, again, just the competitiveness or lack thereof sometimes within some of these regions in both of the districts right now. And you and I have talked about this a lot, over the phone and things all season long about, different things that maybe need to be tried to kind of close that competitiveness gap and really get some teams on some more solid footing. But it makes it hard to kind of predict when you go into some of these tournaments sometimes exactly where teams are coming in because of who they did or didn't play during the regular season.
Yeah, and and the winner of that game gets Punxsutawney, which is having a great season. 9-1 are the Chucks. It that 3-team bracket is a really interesting 3-team bracket to me. I really like that 3-team bracket. Winner of that 3-team bracket gets the winner of District 10 4A, which is General McLean versus Oil City. General McLean lost to DuBois in week 1 in a shootout and haven't lost since.
Yeah. Well, and I've said to you several times over the last few weeks that if they were to play that game again right now, I'm not sure that DuBois is able to handle the Lancers the way they're playing right now. Like you said, since that game, they haven't lost, and none of their wins have been any closer than 2 scores, and that includes against Cathedral Prep a couple of weeks ago. They're putting up 25 plus points. If it touched 70 against Franklin, probably could have touched 70 at Warren earlier this month if they really wanted to. 45 plus against Meadville and Corey, which are good teams. And in week 3 this year, they took on Oil City and won 28-7. And I, having had a chance to see both of these teams in person, they're both fundamentally sound. They're both very well coached. But Cody Elms, my broadcast partner, and I said so many times during that game that General McLean played against Warren, the Lancers just look like a well-oiled machine right now. Oil City's getting there. I'm not sure that they're quite on that same operational level as the Lancers are coming in.
At what point does Marshall McCormick, the head coach at General McLean, get serious consideration for District 10 Coach of the Year? He had to replace perhaps his 3 best players from a year ago, in at least skill players. Isaac Zeitz, right, the quarterback, threw for almost 3,000 yards. He also ran for 300, almost 400 yards. You had Teague Berger running for 800 yards. And then you had Zeitz's twin brother, Jacob, received for 16 touchdowns and almost 1,200 yards. And yet, arguably, McLean's better this year than they were last year.
Yeah. Well, so, we talked about that, and I had a chance to talk with this year's quarterback, Matt Carroll, after the game against Warren. And, one of the things that I asked him about and that he mentioned one of the things that's making them better is that they're more balanced in the passing game. It's not just Zeitz to Zeitz, and if you can shut that down, then you've got a real chance to limit this offense. He's throwing the ball all over the place to a bunch of different receivers, and all of them are highly effective when they get the football in their hands, and it's really an incredible kind of thing to watch. I mean, he had 235 yards and 5 touchdowns in less than 2 full quarters. Because again, once this offense, when it gets moving, it moves, and they are up on the ball almost as soon as it's placed and ready for play by the officials. And they're just going, and it's constant movement by this team. And you talk about balance. He's got 3 receivers with at least 30 receptions and a fourth with 28, all of them with at least 500 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns. So, I mean, it's just absolutely incredible how they're spreading the ball around. And, oh, by the way, on top of that, they've got 2 running backs that, have a combined over 700 rushing yards and 10 touchdowns on the ground.
But you talk about how quick they move, and Punxsutawney doesn't play this week, but the Chucks do the same thing. The chains aren't set, and they're ready to snap the football again. And they're doing it. Maddox Hetrick, who is the all-time leading passer in school history, with a great running back in Jordan Rutan. Also good receivers in Logan Moore, Teague Hetrick, Bo Thomas at tight end. And then they have a second quarterback, Zayden Gold, who they'll bring in. They were going to kind of switch the 2 off at the beginning of the year. Then Zayden got hurt in the first week, but now he's back healthy, and they're using him in a series or 2. Gives a different look. At that point, Maddox Hetrick can also go out and catch passes. Bo Thomas is just a beast on defense. But, you think about if you end up with a General McLean Punxsutawney matchup, you could have 150 plays run in that game.
Yeah. I think it would be a lot of fun to watch regardless. I mean,
that's sure it would be fun to stat, but watch.
Well, yeah. So the stat guy's going to get some hand cramps going on that one, just trying to keep up with them. And the officials are going to get their workout, and the chain gang going to get their workouts in that day for sure.
Yeah, you better be prepared to move if you're on the chain gang in that game. And the officials have got to be careful. I watched Punxsy a couple weeks ago against Karn City, and the officials were allowing play to go off before the chains were set, and that's not good. In fact, we ended up with a 3-down situation because of that. And unbelievably, Brian, I've had 3 downs 2 weeks in a row. It's like playing Canadian football. I don't even know what to say. like, come on, guys, be better, I guess is all I could say. But it's one of those things. Let's move into AAA in District 10. Really the only full bracket that we're looking at in District 10.
And the only one being played on Friday night this week. All 4 games will be on Friday. Just kind of go through the seedings. The 1-8 matchup is Hickory's the top seed taking on number 8 Girard. Sharon's number 2 takes on number 7 Conneaut. Grove City, the 3, battling number 6 Northeast. And 4-5 matchup is Fort LaBeouf and Corey. And I'm really kind of looking forward to that one as well. The Fort LaBeouf Corey matchup. That was a 2-point game in week 3 that Fort LaBeouf came out on top of. So definitely probably on the short list for potential game of the week situations going on there, that 4-5 matchup. And then another interesting one is Northeast and Grove City. Northeast actually beat Grove City in the season opener 36-34. Grove City ends up getting the higher seed, though. They come in with a 5-4 record, even though Northeast at 8-2, and with a head-to-head victory over them is the 6th seed. So, obviously schedule strength had to be the determining factor there.
I saw the thought process also that, and I think it might have been Tom Reisenweber, who does a great job covering District 10, specifically the Erie area of District 10 for the Erie Times News. mentioned, hey, at some point, Mercer County teams are just whipping up on the teams from Erie.
Mhm.
And if Erie teams want to have a better seed, then you got to beat them at some point in time. And
Sure.
I'd 100% agree with Tom on that assessment.
I do, but in this instance, Northeast beat Grove City.
I think
They did what you're asking. You know what I mean? I get it.
I think the idea was like come playoff time, not so much in the
Sure.
regular.
No, and I understand all of that, but I mean, you can only play who's put in front of you. So there's an argument to be made, especially that they're getting matched up together.
I don't think in District 10 it makes as big of a deal because they go play at neutral sites.
Sure.
In District 9, I understand why they don't go play at neutral sites in these kind of situations. They don't have that many fields that are capable of holding neutral site games. Mm-hmm. But I think when you're talking about a neutral site game here with a game that went 2 points the other way, I mean, I'm probably going to pick Grove City if I'm being honest here. But it would. I don't really think it makes a whole lot of a difference. There could be a 5-4 there, maybe instead of a 6-3, but
sure.
Maybe 6-3 is a better side. I don't think there is a better side when you look at the top 2 seeds in AAA. It almost feels destined that it's going to be Hickory and Sharon again.
Yeah.
Hickory seems to own Sharon in the regular season, and then Sharon seems to own Hickory in the postseason. Oh, no, other way around. It was the other way.
Yeah, I was going to say flip that.
Sharon had owned Groves. Sharon owned Hickory in the regular season the last 2 years. By owned, I mean they were close games, but they won those games. And then Hickory came back and won in the playoffs. Now this year, Hickory won by 2 in the regular season, I think it was. And so now there's this Sharon's turn to win the district title after losing in the regular season.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to think, if you're a Sharon fan, you got to think, hey, that's been the script is they've had us or we've had them in the regular season and they get us in the playoffs. So, maybe this year they get the 2-point win in the regular season and now it's our turn to come back and take care of business in the playoffs and get that District 10 title that's kind of been eluding them for the last couple of seasons. But again, I just if everything goes chalk, maybe Sharon and Grove City has potential to be possibly, an upset. I mean, that was a 9-point win for Sharon earlier this month, but Grove City is one of those teams that just, again, was very hard to get a read on them. They lost the opener to Northeast, rattled off 4 straight wins, including one at Fort LaBeouf. And then lost to Oil City, Sharon, and Hickory, all in a row, all almost by identical. I mean, it's 28-10, 23-14, 21-14, and then come back and beat Connie at the end of the regular season. So, where is Grove City at right now as far as, are they a totally different team than the one that lost to Northeast at the start of the season? Are they that team that we saw in the 4-game win streak, or are they closer to that team that lost 3 straight to other playoff opponents?
Yeah, and before we get away from District 10, I want to mention McDowell was supposed to play Erie in the 6A championship. After the seedings came out, Erie withdrew. They people like to use the word opt out. Once the brackets are out, you're no longer have opted out. You've withdrawn at this point.
Yeah.
You forfeited. You withdrawn.
You forfeited, yeah.
Yeah. Whatever. I know it causes a kerfuffle. I can't even pronounce that word, but you know what I'm saying.
Kerfluff.
Yeah. Up in the Erie area, whatever. We're talking about a 3-7 team and a 1-9 team. McDowell, of course, has played probably a better schedule than 3-7 would indicate, but I mean, the first time they played, it was like a 30-point game. We're not really missing anything by not having that game a second time around. And that's probably what Erie was thinking when they had some injuries and was like, do we really need to go and get pounded like that again? Speaking of getting pounded in a team making a bad decision, what in the world is Perry Academy doing playing in the District 9, 8, 9 AA playoffs? They are I think they're 1-7 on the year. I'm looking at the schedule real quick here. That's kind of why I'm stumbling here. They're 1-7 on the year. That win came 14-12 against Carrick. They lost to USO 54-0. They lost to Westinghouse 70-0. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they lost to Westinghouse 70-0. Westinghouse lost to Karn City. Karn City's the number 1 seed in that tournament. Like, why are we wasting Central Clarion's time making them play a game here? Like, what could Perry possibly be thinking?
I ask myself this all the time. I mean, we see teams not opt out of playoffs that are sub 500, have just a couple of wins all the time, and it almost always ends up the same way. I'm of the firm belief that opting in, opting out, there needs to be set criteria for playoff qualifiers.
This open playoff system is.
Yeah, I don't agree with it.
Schools can't make the right decision sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think there needs to be, there has to be some kind of threshold. Back in the old days of bowl eligibility, right, where you had to have at least 6 wins to be eligible for a bowl in the college game. There's got to be some kind of threshold there. If you don't want to make it, 5-5 or 500, I mean, at least 4 wins or something to show that you probably belong in a playoff tournament here. If you can't win 4 out of 10 games in a regular season,
you don't really belong in the playoffs at that point.
Yeah, do you really belong in the playoffs? Now, I will say, you mentioned McDowell a minute ago. Interesting note on their schedule. They haven't lost to a team from Pennsylvania this year. So if you just go by, well, hey, we're going to enter the state tournament, we haven't lost to anybody in the state, maybe you got an argument there. All of their losses were to teams either from Ohio or New York. But just an interesting kind of quirk on that schedule.
So, let's skip ahead. Let's just assume that Central Clarion, and I know you can't assume. Well, teams can't assume.
Yeah.
We're Clarion and Karn City meet for the 2A title. Game was won 35-14. I think that was the final score the first time around by Karn City. Big asterisk there. Ethan Rex didn't play in that game for Central Clarion, leading rusher, one of their top receivers. Bigger question for the Wildcats is the health of Mason Burford. Had a hamstring injury 2 weeks ago against Du Bois, didn't play this past week against Butler. Alex Love also didn't play this week against Butler. How healthy those guys are in 2 weeks. They're both real key players to that team. That's a Central Clarion team. They started 2-4. They finished the season on a 4-game win streak. Some of it because they went back to more traditional wing T look a lot more, and they gained some confidence. Look, their 4 losses are great losses. I mean, if there's such a thing as great losses, they lost to Kirtland, Ohio, in the opener. I'm looking to see if Kirtland's lost a game yet. I know a couple weeks ago they hadn't lost a game, and they finished the regular season 10-0. Tiger Laverty, Franklin graduate. I think he's Franklin. Maybe he's Oil City. He's one of the 2 over there. I think it was Franklin. Or at least I know he coached at Franklin because he coached Blaine Gold, or played with Blaine Gold or something like that. But Tiger Laverty has that Kirtland team again as an Ohio powerhouse. Lost to Punxsutawney, which has 1 loss to Karn City. Lost to Karn City, which has a loss to Punxsutawney and a loss to Du Bois. And that would be 3 losses, right? Or would that be 4 losses? That'd be 3
I wasn't counting.
You aren't counting. Come on, Brian. You're expecting me to do this off the top of my head. There's another loss in there for Central Clarion. They lost to Kirtland. Oh, Port Allegany, undefeated Port Allegany. So I mean, when you
That's
have
a
4
terrible
losses,
loss. I don't know how you lose to an undefeated team.
when you have 4 losses to 2 undefeated teams, and then 2 other teams that split with each other, yeah, that's a pretty good schedule that you've played. In Karn, that's what Karn City. I know you probably haven't watched Karn City a lot, Brian. Karn City lines up basically also in a wing T type formation. Lots of counter bucks, lots of double handoffs. You never quite know who has the football. They all wear about the same number. I compare Karn City in football to Elk County Catholic in boys basketball, where they all just look the same and they're all just successful at it.
Yeah, they've got a system down there and it works. And it's one of those. They're one of those schools that it's worked for them. It's worked for them for a while now, and as long as it keeps on working, why would you ever get out of it?
Correct. And so we're going to close off our show today with the single A tournament in District 9, the largest District 9 tournament with 7 teams. Port Allegheny, the 1, Union AC is the 2, Red Bank's the 3, Kane's the 4, Keystone's 5, Ridgeway's 6, and Cameron County 7. Seeding that tournament wasn't easy, as we talked about last week. I could have gone any way with those 4, 5, and 6. I'm not sure when I say I could have gone any way that Kane would have ended up being the 4 out of it in my mind, but that's where they ended up. And they're playing a Keystone team. They're hosting a Keystone team that earlier in the year went up to Kane and won 56-19. That is a little bit of a strange look. Union AC and Cameron, that's a rematch as well. Union won that game 30-12. It was a game you actually watched right here on the YDL Sports Network. Cameron County and Ridgeway and Red Bank Valley played in week 1. That was a good game. I think Red Bank won by like 12 points at the end of the day, but that game was pretty close. That game is going to be down in New Bethlehem on a grass field. It's supposed to rain on Thursday. That field's already in bad shape.
Yeah.
Ridgeway doesn't put the ball in the air at all. This is a game that could be the upset special of the week because Ridgeway is going to love the play Red to get that game moved to Penn West Clarion. There was some stuff going on there that finally the district said no. And, Ridgeway obviously didn't want the game moved to Penn West Clarion. They'd much rather have that game in a slop at Red Bank. And that should be an interesting game. Ridgeway's kind of that team that's kind of lurking in the shadows. I don't know if they're good enough to win the whole thing, but I'm not so sure that on that side of the bracket that they couldn't maybe get to the championship game.
So I feel like that in 1A in District 9 is almost a similar question to what you asked in 2A in District 10. Is there anybody that's coming close to Port Allegheny in that bracket right now?
Well, I'll say this much. While they beat Union AC 35-7, it was a close game at halftime. I think it was 14-7. Union AC had the ball 3 times in the red zone and didn't score. Needed, I think, a punt return to get to that 35 points as well. So I think that they're not as dominant as they were last year when they went to the state championship game. They lost Ethan Tarbex, their center. He had been in and out, came back, played against Brockway on Thursday, suffered a season-ending injury. Now they've played without him this year, so that's a positive. It's not like you've lost your guy and you don't know what you look like without him. They beat Union AC without him already. Talking to Justin Minkowski, the head coach, he makes a really good point. He's like, we still have number 31. Number 31 would be Aiden. Aiden Bliss, who turned in another Player of the Week performance, his 4th of the year last week. If I'm thinking off the top of my head, I think it was the 19th 200-yard game of his career. 19 200-yard games. The nuts part about that, he's got 7,003 career yards. He didn't pick up 1 yard rushing as a freshman. He has 7,003 yards in 3 seasons. Brian, I want to get your take on this because we've talked about this on Nolf Bites throughout the year. Okay. Nobody's looking at this kid to play college football. Can you explain this to me? I mean, I know the explanation that I've gotten is that he's too big to play running back in the modern college game, which is just, he's 6'1", maybe 210 pounds. Yeah. He runs people over. He can run with the wind. He's a great wrestler. If you don't want to play in running back, you can find some place on the football field for a kid like this, right? Like, we talk a lot about Jace Ferguson being a winner, okay?
Yeah.
It has it. Do you feel the same way about Aiden Bliss? And that if you were recruiting a college football team, don't you want a guy like Aiden Bliss on your team?
Well, yeah, and we had very similar discussions when it came to Ethan Knox in Oil City a couple of years ago. Was just running crazy all over everybody, and you didn't see a huge offer sheet coming out for him until kind of late in the process. And I think Aiden Bliss is going to be in a similar situation. And look, part of it's, not just, size and stature and how you want him to play, but where he's playing and the quality of opponent that they're playing. And I mean, it's completely out of his control. It's majority of it's out of Port Allegheny's control too, but it's just there's a perception about this area that exists.
There absolutely is. And I think what bothers me is Matt Sieg, until James Franklin got fired at Penn State, was headed to Penn State, right?
Yeah.
Against Fort Cherry, who Matt Sieg plays for, a year ago, Aiden Bliss ran for 300 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Aiden Bliss helped lead a defense that kept Matt Sieg completely in check. Like, wouldn't that have been the aha moment that maybe you would have had? And then in the state championship game against Bishop Guilfoyle, it was another 200-yard performance from him. Like, I get that maybe you look at Port Allegany coming from District 9 and you look at their schedule and you go, okay. But like, as a recruiter, don't you look at the biggest games of the year, the state semifinal game against a team that's got supposedly a Division I player at quarterback? Don't you look at the state championship game against a Bishop Guilfoyle team that always produces great football players and see that the kid's doing the same thing there? And shouldn't that maybe mean something at some point to somebody?
You would think, but it doesn't seem to matter as much anymore.
No, they're so much worried about what football in shorts looks like.
Well, yeah, and that's just it. It's the camps, it's the 7-on-7s and all that kind of stuff.
Which is why so many 5-star recruits go to college and aren't really. We find out star recruits because they're football.
No. Well, I'll see people posting, videos from stuff at 7-on-7s and people in shorts and things like that. And look what this kid did. And you look at the film for about 3 seconds and you go, okay, there's probably about 4 different penalties that occurred here. And none of those moves are being done, full pads with somebody that can actually hit you, lining up on the opposite side of you. And I mean, even with the receiver, they're getting off. They're not getting press coverage or anything like that. And you just go, how are you getting any kind of actual evaluation based on, essentially these guys playing flag football?
No question. Back to that tournament. I like Union AC Valley. I love Max Gallagher. I love Logan Skabinski at running back. I like what freshman quarterback Andrew Kiefer has done. I love what they do defensively there. Red Bank Valley, Braylon Wagner's taken his another level the last few years. Be the first time in his career he's really figured that out. I think those two teams, and again, I love what Ridgeway's done. I love what Mark Heindel's done there. Look, shout out to Matt Bodemer at Kane too. This is a program that was in the dumpsters, and in 2 short seasons, he has them at 8-2. Now they had a fairly easy schedule. Those 8 wins aren't the most impressive wins, except for the win over Ridgeway. But 8-2 is still 8-2. Sure. And when you're trying to rebuild a football program, that's really important. And Keystone and Todd Smith is another team that nobody wants to play. Dom Corsetti was just named the Region Player of the Year. He's a dual threat quarterback there as well. That should be a really exciting tournament there, I think, Brian.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you look around, it's 1A in District 9, it's 3A in District 10. That's where probably the most exciting action is going to happen in these playoffs, at least as far as the district playoffs are concerned in Northwest, North Central Pennsylvania right now. And there's certainly some really good matchups in that 1A bracket over in District 9.
Yeah, and we'll have you covered here on the YDL Sports Network. We've got a video broadcast coming up, Central Clarion and Perry. I'll be on that game with Larry Weiser. I know we also have an audio broadcast on Saturday, Eisenhower and Farrell. That'll be Alan Siebert and I'm assuming Lou Vizza.
Yep.
On that game, Brian. So you can tune in there for those as well. And told JJ Michaels at the Hound that would help promote a couple of their games this week too as well on our site. And he was really grateful for that, and a great relationship with those guys, the guys at Deej Experience and Corey as well. They're going to assume they're going to have that Corey LaBeouf game
I think they're going to have both the Corey LaBeouf and Grove City Northeast game actually
Yeah,
this
that
week.
would make sense. That's
Yeah.
what those guys are doing, and
Yeah.
so and you can always get all those links on our live
Mhm.
scoreboard. Shout out to Nick Riccovina. Nick Riccovina
Yeah.
is a young man from the Pittsburgh area. His dad's the head basketball coach at Pitt Johnstown. Came on 6 years ago for us, Brian, or 5 years ago, to do this live scoreboard on Friday nights that everybody loves, and does a fantastic job with it. And I don't know if people understand how hard that is to do. Yeah, every once in a while a score gets backwards or something like that, but when you think about the number of football games every Friday night, and you're trying to track them all live, trying to find those scores, he just does a fabulous job with that.
Yeah, it is. That is. I've done that a couple of times. Had some off weeks here and there over the last couple of years, and gone in to help him out with some of that stuff. And it is. It's tedious, and it's nonstop work trying to get those things updated, because just when you think you got everything updated, you get 3 or 4 games that have score changes suddenly, and then by the time you get them done, you got 3 or 4 more that need to be updated. So yeah, definitely big shout out to Nicholas for doing that for us every week. He does a fantastic job.
So I know where I'm at, and I got that Perry Central Clarion. The same. You know what? We didn't talk about this game. I can't believe we didn't talk about this game. They would have gotten all mad at us if we hadn't talked about this game. The District 9 3A championship game. I can't believe it. I'm actually going to it, and we didn't talk about it. St. Mary's against Brockway, a rematch of last year, won by Brockway. Sorry, Jake. Sorry, Chris. Jake Heigl, Chris Dwork, the coaches. We almost left that. They'd have been like, "Where's our game at?" They would have yelled at us too. They would have. They really would have.
Oh yeah. Oh, you'd have heard it for sure.
And legitimately so.
Yeah.
I kind of got myself lost in all of our classifications here. Hey, we're just saving the best for last. That's all. Brockway, they've had a really nice season. St. Mary's, tough schedule, man. I mean, they're playing in that Region 1 with Du Bois and Central Clarion and Karn City and Punxsutawney. If they had played in any other region in District 9, they'd have a much better record. Much better record than what they have. I really like Brody Wheeler at quarterback. They've got some guys on the outside. A couple of Elk County kids, Frankie Smith, Matt Gilmore, who are playmakers, who can go out and make some plays. Brockway has some playmakers too. It starts with that quarterback, Aiden Patton, and Aiden is one of the better quarterbacks in District 9. And then he's got a guy in Caleb Doherty. What Caleb's doing is amazing. Playing for the soccer team that's playing for a district title tonight as we speak, and a star on that. He's a star wide receiver on the football team, also the kicker on the football team. What an athlete that kid is. He's good at everything he plays, and to be a star in multiple sports in the fall is not easy.
No, definitely not. And to do it in the way that he's doing it too. I mean, obviously you have a lot of kids that'll play soccer and then come be the kicker or something, but he's taken on a full-on role on both of those teams, and that certainly is not an easy feat to accomplish. And then to do it at the level at which he's doing it for both is really rare to see.
Yeah, that game's at 1:00 on Saturday at Mansell Stadium in Du Bois. Winner goes right into the state playoffs this year. Last year, Brockway had to play Somerset in the sub-regional. I know they like to call that a state playoff game. It really wasn't. So this will be, if they could win that game, this will be their first state playoff appearance since I think 2010 in Brockway. But so anyhow, are you actually going anywhere, Brian? Or are you just going to sit home and monitor everything this week?
Undecided.
Undecided on
undecided. Yeah, a lot of it.
It's only Wednesday right now.
Yeah, a lot of it's going to be weather related. So
I can understand.
I have no desire to go stand on a sideline and get soaking wet in the rain. So if we're monitoring from home, we might be monitoring from home, but undecided at this point.
That'll do it for this special playoff preview edition of Nolf Bites. Again, make sure to check out all they've got at Nolf Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram in Fairmont City. Can be found online at nolfchrysler.dodge.com. And Andy and Andy Byers and Ronnie Geist will take care of you down there as they always do. And I'll be back hopefully with those guys next week. Ronnie was a little under the weather this week, which kind of made us changing gears and doing this on Wednesday and doing what we're doing, why we did it tonight, in case you were wondering. But that's part of what was going on there. But Brian, thanks for joining me on this. Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see how these games go this weekend and see if anybody can make a run to the state championship game like Port Allegheny and Central Clarion did last year. That'll do it for this week's edition of Nolf Bites, the show that bites. Why should you choose Nolf, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram in Fairmont City? Why wouldn't you choose them? At Nolf, their sales are speedy and include upfront and straightforward pricing. If it's service and parts you're after, they have skilled technicians who are factory trained while offering knowledgeable parts experts. Maybe you need Nolf's full-service body shop offering top-quality collision repair to all makes and models of cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs. Or do you want to cruise the highway in a clean, shiny vehicle thanks to Nolf's detailing service? No matter your needs, Nolf, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram in Fairmont City is there for you. Find out more at NolfChryslerDodge.com.